When will the madness end? How many more freedoms will we lose due to fear of a virus, which is a survivability rate of 997 out of 1,000? It's time we stop spreading fear.
The House condemns the comments of the member for Dawson prior to question time, designed to use our national parliament to spread misinformation and undermine the actions of Australians to defeat COVID.
Open society back up. Restore our freedoms. End this madness.
Rare for the federal government and opposition to agree, but the coalition supported a Labor motion to condemn Nationals MP George Christensen for spreading misinformation around the pandemic.
Lockdowns don't work. Fact. Lockdowns don't destroy the virus, but they do destroy people's livelihoods and people's lives.
The coalition's outrage merchant at it again.
Fact. We are all human beings. Nobody should be restricted from everyday life because of their medical choices, especially when vaccinated people can still catch and spread COVID-19.
Don't listen to George Christensen. He's not a doctor. He can't tell you what to do with vaccines.
Domestic vaccine passports are a form of discrimination.
Go to the credible sources' information on vaccines, and George Christensen is not one of them.
Also against the medical advice, refusing to vaccinate children against COVID, something that's been suggested by the government's own MP, George Christensen. Scott Morrison calling out his views as dangerous.
I think they're unwise views. I think they're dangerous views. I don't think parents should be listening to them.
Our posturing politicians, many over there, the sensationalist media elite and the dictatorial medical bureaucrats need to recognise these facts and stop spreading fear.
On George Christensen, I don't think I could have been any clearer yesterday. Don't listen to George Christensen. He's not a doctor. He can't tell you what to do with vaccines.
What we should never accept is a systematic removal of our freedoms based on a zero-risk health advice from a bunch of unelected medical bureaucrats.
His views are not the government's views. They have in no way whatsoever influenced government policy at all. And the greater attention people give to his views, which is not the government, then I can only encourage those to simply ignore him.
The House calls on all members to refrain from making ill-informed comments at a time when the pandemic represents a serious threat to the health of Australians.
In the parliament that makes laws, George Christensen called on voters to break them in protest against vaccine mandates and what he sees as state overreach.
George Christensen is a menace to public health. There should be no place for him in the government party room.
I'm feeling desperate. I'd like to turn to the Australian government in Canberra and in particular George Christensen for advice.
Those comments were appalling, and I've spoken to George directly about them. I think they're absolutely appalling.